welcome back once again to the Seewing Yi, and my special guest host is Julie. How are you, Julie?
I'm fine. Good morning, Seewing. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Julie is my co-host on our podcast, and she's a very great guest all the time, and she provides a lot of value for our audience out there because she talked from the perspective from her experience is risk investing is really not much different than any other newbies out there who's trying to buy their first rental, or even her journey she's gone through with me over the past few years are no different than the typical mom and pop investors out there that's trying to make it. They try to hang in there and try to invest for the long term and overcome all the short-term volatility, focus on the long term, and at the end of the rainbow, sometime in the future, Julie and reap the end result of her blood and sweat and tears. Am I right, Julie?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a great journey for the three years or so that we've been working with you. And I just really want to encourage you listeners, listen to the information, reach out to get help, and just pull the trigger. Just do it. To say that before we even get started, because the longer you wait, the less the opportunities are.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Julie, thank you for your kind words. And without further ado, let's go over this particular module. The title is New Construction, New Build Turnkey Rental Property. Is it the best asset class? Let's find out. You guys will be the judge. And the reason why, my company, the Real Estate Network, love doing new construction, new build properties for the past 20 years, for that matters. And we have entered and exited many different emerging markets over the years. And currently, we can share with you which market we are doing. Many of you who is our frequent watchers, what market that we are targeting. So we will discuss that toward the end, but let's go over the amazing characteristics of buying new construction rental cash flow properties in the best markets in the country. So here we go. And the characteristics are new builds, of course. New builds equals better locations than older homes in a particular market. New construction, you would typically get the higher quality tenants, and that is so important. And tenants typically could very well stay anywhere from 2 to 3 years at a time. So based on our recent history, based on not just recent history, years of tracking our investors buying new constructions in emerging markets. All right. And furthermore, buying new construction houses in investment homes also provide low maintenance costs.
Right.
Capital expenditures potentially can really cause some investors to lose money over time. So if they don't know where to buy, how to buy, what have you. And especially in the South and Southeast, given what's happening with the weather situation, if you hook up with a turnkey provider who promote rental homes, new construction in an area that's not in a flood zone, away from the hurricane areas, no HOAs, and low insurance costs. Is that amazing?
Wow, that's like a serious trifecta there. To be able to get all that, because when you were talking, I was reading about insurance, like where we live in insurance, homeowners insurance in California, a lot of the major insurance companies are not even writing policy. So the fact that you can get a new build away from flood zone, no HOA, which is amazing, and low insurance, that's amazing. That's like a trifecta there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's you should not take it for granted. So yeah, our partners in those markets, that's what they provide, and they so any of those serious issues that we've been hearing, it can cause potential investors concern, but not in our situation. All right. So anyway, and of course, if investors buying in good areas where there are no state income tax, as in the case of Florida and Texas, that's another benefit. And if you buy in an area that are landlord friendly, which Florida and Texas have that benefit as well. So that's another win, and of course, again, we buy in emerging markets, the path of growth, go deeper into the suburb. That is where the numbers really make sense. And finally, low affordability, entry-level homes. It's important. It's very hard for builders to build entry-level homes these days. And we,
Right.
again, because of my connection, able to hook up with with the builders that allow investors to buy the lowest possible entry-level homes, giving the rent to price projection. Yep. So anyway, any quick point on this matter before we hit the next slideshow? Julie, go over this.
It just speaks to the advantages of buying new build. Now, I was able to, where I bought, there were no new builds in that particular area. So there are some challenges that come with the buying the older home, but really, if you can get all this in a new build, that's a win for everybody, especially for a new investor. Because I think the biggest fear for a lot of new investors is, oh, what the maintenance cost. What's it going to cost to fix it up? And if it's an older home, you've really eliminated all of those concerns by buying into a new build.
That's right. That's right. But that's very reassuring. Yeah, very good point. All right. So every year, more and more investors are flooding in this very desirable emerging markets, which makes it more difficult to build a successful turnkey rental properties the traditional way. That's why when our investors, when they get a hold of these new homes that are coming online, they need to pull the trigger because they wait, they use snooze, you lose. Yeah.
Exactly.
You
That's a very good one.
snooze,
Mhm.
you lose. So if you're not careful, again, you could waste hours of your precious time driving for dollars, cold calling, and going to pointless networking events. A lot of people waste time
Mhm.
because they don't use the legitimate turnkey providers. They try to buy on their own. They try to circumvent the turnkey providers' products, and they do their own
Right,
research and wasting time driving for dollars.
right.
It's just not good. So what we do, we want to, our network, we want to give you a serious leg up, an unfair advantage over the average investor who are
Mhm.
DIY, do it yourself.
DIY, do it
Yeah,
yourself.
the DIY investor, do it yourself. Good luck,
Yeah,
good luck, especially when you come from a high price market like California or Northeast or
right,
somewhere high price market. You try to buy out of state on your own. Good luck trying to find your own team.
right,
Good luck try to
right.
waste your time try to create your own team, and you could be subject to a lot of risk. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've, I remember years and years ago, Mark and I had signed up for this seminar and got all this information, and they promised you this, that, and the other, and really nothing panned out from that. So it's really best to get with somebody that you can trust. It's going to give you a more hands-on, like you've been very hands-on with us. We so appreciate that because we wouldn't be able to have the 6 properties that we have now without your assistance. And you're, like I said, you're really hands-on, where a lot of these big seminars and gurus, they don't really give you hands-on. They give you a lot of information, but there's no support beyond that.
That's right. A lot of these real estate gurus out there, they overpromise and they underdeliver, and they are transaction based. They sell you a property, they collect their commissions or whatever, and they forget about you, right? Whereas the way I practice, my core value in my business model is such that I create a long-term relationship, right? It's all about relationship,
Mhm.
right? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
okay, yeah. So what we do, we give you access to the best turnkey deals before they even hit the public, right? We discover how we find those deals, analyze those deals, and close those deals off market, not off market, because a lot of those so-called real estate gurus, they train you to get into the multiple listing service,
Right.
look at 1,000 deals, potential deals at a time, and wasting so much effort, so much
Mhm.
time. And they try to say, oh, make a ridiculous offer to all these listings, all these stressful listings on multiple listing service. And when you make a ridiculous offer on one houses, and maybe one of those seller will give you a great deal. But this kind of a methodology may be successful for some people, but for most others, it's just too much
Right.
work, and people give up doing it themselves. Why? waste time trading time for dollar when you can
Mhm.
go through our network, right? We have done all those advanced research and due diligence for you, and all you got to do is pick and choose which one you want, and our team on the ground they'll help you, right?
Yeah, that's a big advantage because I think most people are thinking that the properties that are in the MLS or Realtor.com or all this Zillow, all those, like those are the only properties that are out there. But these turnkey providers are designed to work just with investors. We're not competing against 1,000 offers or whatever for one property. And it really it takes a lot of the stress out of the process and saves you a lot of time, as you said earlier, because you're not looking at 1,000 properties to find one. Because that's a waste of time. That's an incredible waste of time.
Yeah. Many of our investors, like yourself, who live in California, and you guys are so busy with your career,
Absolutely.
with your job, and all the obligations, and you just have no time to buy out of state long distance and do all the legwork yourself, and
Right.
that's total brain damage.
Absolutely. And that's a good point. The properties that we live on the East Coast, we're in California, and we would have never had time. We'd still probably be looking for our first property if we hadn't met you and you showed us an option because we didn't know anything about New York. So this, it really worked out well for us, saved us a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, and just followed a very, I will say, simple process. If you just listen to what you're telling us and walk through the process, it can be very simple. Not to say there's no work involved,
Right.
because you do have to be diligent and you do have to be prepared for things to not go perfect. But yeah, we would have never been able to buy 6 properties on the East Coast had we not lined up with you.
Oh, just to clarify, I know what you're saying, but we talk about upstate New York. We talk about Buffalo,
Upstate New York. Oh, make it clear.
not the expensive areas of New
Oh, no.
York City.
I'd be living in New York if I had that kind of money.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, there are many sources indicating that the upstate New York, and not just Buffalo, Niagara Falls Metro, but the Syracuse and Rochester, New York, that upper state is one of the hottest market.
Right.
Zillow, if you look at, if you,
Right.
you and I showed the link on the previous podcast, the Zillow's 2024 fastest, the best real estate market. Buffalo, Niagara Falls is number one.
It's a very untapped hidden market that a lot of people don't really know about.
Yeah.
And it served us very well.
Yep. You have to get in early before
Before the herd comes. Before the crop
before the
comes.
herd comes. Exactly. That's right. Yep.
Mhm.
Yes. Anyway, yep. Again, the turnkey provider, what we do is we have analyzed all those metrics on the ground, so you don't have to do it. So we negotiate, we provide the ideal cash flow, positive cash flow properties to you guys. 25% down payment, you will get positive cash flow. And I know these days, positive cash flow is very hard to find. The 3 minutes we have remaining, so we just want to conclude that the pro forma, this is a typical, very good. We're not going to go over the numeric situation. Our other podcast, we talked about this detailed numerical analysis, but from a high level, Julie, your property, although much older properties than new construction, but the concept remains the same.
Absolutely.
We would not promote any properties out there which you would not cash flow. So if you can cash flow at 25% down payment, if you get in this new construction scenario, if you can get the builder to buy down the rates for you, they pay down all the points. There's no points coming out of your pocket.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's totally amazing. You get more cash flow by buying down the rate. Today's rate, according to the Mortgage News Daily, is at 7%, and 7%,
Right.
the 7% is people with very good credit. They are typically owner-occupied rates.
That's great.
Yeah, not investor rates. Investor rate usually pay
The higher.
0.0 basis point higher than the owner-occupied rate. So if the Mortgage News Daily currently, as we speak today is 27 June 2024, give 7% owner-occupied rates under the best terms, according to Mortgage News Daily, it could be 7.5 or 7.8% if the investors does not pay 3 or 4 points to reduce those rates. And
that's an amazing rate. That's back to like 2021.
Yeah, exactly. We're going back in time, back to the future.
Back to the future.
By paying 4.75% the first 10 years fixed. After 10 years
Right.
is adjustable, but 10 years is a long time, so it's okay to pay 10-year fixed on 4.75% in this case.
Okay.
And this is a Florida property. You guys, I spilled the beans a little bit. Okay, in Central Florida, but that's fine. But we have other loan programs for investors. You can have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, like 5.5% or even slightly lower. So you can pick and choose the loan program that makes sense to you. At the end of the day, given the skyrocketing home prices that we have experienced, especially in the past few years, and the rents nationwide have not caught up with the higher price point, by having this additional incentive to buy new construction property in one of the fastest growing location here in Central Florida, 264 new construction with a rent for almost $1,700 rent, and giving this rate, you can cash flow initially for $300.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a good benchmark.
That's a great property.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very easy to rent because just in case people out there have not heard, we are going through the greatest renters nation in the history of mankind, because affordability is at the lowest in the past 40, 50 years. More and more people cannot afford to buy a home to live. They are relegated to the rental pool.
Right.
And as landlords, we are the primary beneficiary of having whole many more tenants knocking on our doors. There are many more tenants that need to rent a good, nice new home in a fast-growing area than there are available homes to rent. You and I talked about this before recently on our past podcast. The biggest winner of today's volatile housing market are landlords. Okay,
absolutely, 100%.
And by even able to get a whole bunch of potential tenant, you can pre-screen your tenants find the best tenant. Like we mentioned earlier, in this kind of new construction type of model, you can have a high quality tenant that can stay in your home beyond the first year.
Right.
That way you can collect positive cash flow year over year. And that you and I discussed, I mean, who care about any fluctuations on your home prices? It's on paper. You're not selling at a loss. You're not selling at all because you are a long-term investor. Over time, in a 10-year cycle, if you hold the property in a 10-year cycle based on past history, your property will increase in value.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, they do not look beyond. You and I talk about this. We have so many podcasts, right? Too many investors, especially newbie investors out there, they just look at the first year cash flow. They don't look at 5 dimensions of those investing.
Right.
And this 5-year projection from a property tracker that you and I use consistently, if you look at the 5 years, I mean, if you look at the rent going up year over year based on inflation, if you look at your fixed rate mortgage, where your mortgage is fixed for 30 years, which is amazing. The amazing loan that's a good debt. Your cash flow will increase over year. Your appreciation, even at 5-7% appreciation, you can get equity growth on a consistent basis. Some years are down, but ordinarily it goes up over time, and market value goes up. As you can see here, loan balance goes down systematically because your tenant is paying down your loan for you. It's inflation-induced debt destruction, per this real estate guru, Jason Hartman, who mentioned this, which I really like this term because you're paying today's 30-year fixed rate mortgage debt and today's dollars and for future value of your loans. So that your renter is going to make you rich over time. They can pay down your loan for you over time. So we have increasing market value of your home, increasing rent, increasing cash flow year over year. And then you have more equity down the road. You can do a lot with the equity in the future as an exit strategy. Anyway, so what are your thoughts about this?
I think you make a good point that a lot of investors do only look at the first year. And if you look at even just 5 years, which in my mind is a very short period of time, the value of the property has gone up approximately $100,000. That's $100,000 in equity that you'll have because your mortgage is continuing to be lowered. So I think that people have to look at 5 years and beyond to really understand the compounded benefit of owning property, leveraging it with a mortgage, and all the other benefits that we've talked about on numerous podcasts.
Yep, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, you have to look the long term. Don't get fixated by the short term volatility because you and I know the news media all day just bombard the negative news media with the housing crash bros. They always talk negativity, negative news sells. So people gravitate towards negative news, and that can brainwash their brains. So that caused a lot of people to do nothing, which is very tragic for people to just fall under this rabbit hole or subscribe to this negative news YouTube channels and
Right.
the negative news, the housing crash, porn bros out there. Yeah, they give you permission to do nothing.
Well, that's good. I like that. Give you permission to do nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, okay. Let's conclude this presentation. Not so, Julie. You and I know that my core philosophy, which I started 20 years ago, this turnkey model, new construction model, and my model have not changed over the 20 years that I've been doing this, helping hundreds of investors to invest in these markets. It's just that so we buy 1 to 4 units, mainly new construction. You can buy older homes in Midwest, like what you did. It's okay to diversify into a stable market in the Midwest.
Sure.
The hybrid, I call it hybrid market here in the South and Southeast. You buy
Right.
new construction, cash flow, a hybrid market in this case, and 1 to 4 unit single family home, duplex. In this case, this example of a new construction, not only Florida. My top 2 areas have been in the South and Southeast, Florida and Texas. So this example, although this is a Florida pro forma, it applies similarly to Texas. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to spill the beans what area of Texas have similar metrics than with these numbers that I'm showing you. But stay tuned to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also put your email into my website so you can become a free member of our real estate investing community of our network, and you will learn more about these kind of opportunities. Having said that, as I conclude, this is a duplex, brand new duplex, also in a fast growing market, 8 strategic locations that we have relationship with in this particular builder that will give you all this great incentives. See, duplex is inexpensive, less than $400K. The 2 units combined rent for $2,600 on both doors. The same interest rate, builders buy down, and at the end of the day, in this case, $526 monthly net cash flow on this great new construction duplex.
Very nice.
And I'm not gonna, again, you could even buy the fourplex in the northeast corner of Florida, and even Florida similar. At the lowest price new construction fourplex, a quad is $800K, but that we also have $950,000 fourplex, similar model, even a better area in particular areas of Florida as well. Again, cash flow, positive cash flow, as you can see, all the numbers look good. So if you buy 1 to 4 unit and get the favorable Fannie Mae residential investment lending guidelines, buy under this buy box, if you will, you're going to do well. And as we conclude this, go ahead, Julie. Why don't you go over the
my favorite part of the class.
Exactly.
No, it speaks back to what I was saying. There's multiple ways that you can benefit from investing in real estate and leveraging it with the mortgage. And obviously, number 1 is cash flow, which is what most people are looking for. And again, I was looking for that, very narrow-minded, but that's a very small part of it. The tax benefits, it talks about the passive losses, depreciation costs, all that stuff. Definitely get with your tax accountant so they can explain all that to you. Appreciation is absolutely a plus, like you showed on that one example. I can't remember which property. Well, just within a 5-year period, anticipated appreciation was about $100,000. So that's better than putting your money in a bank. And to be able to leverage it with a 30-year mortgage, which allows you to buy more properties. That's what we did through our retirement and through just our regular assets. We were able to buy a lot more by leveraging it and taking advantage of all those tax benefits.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, my sentiment is the same. I agree with you. Income property, rental property is one of the world's greatest multi-dimensional asset class. It's the most tax-favored asset class in the history of the world. Whether you're a newbie or you're a savvy investor, there's nothing wrong to buy your first rental and subsequent rentals. Keep on stacking your real estate portfolio over time. And before you know it, in 10 to 15 years, and you will see the next 10 years how much wealth you can build, as opposed to other people, Julie. If you do not buy today, this is such a vicious cycle, because 10 years ago, I told people to buy with properties that are much cheaper, and the cash flow is much, much higher than it is today. 10 years ago, I preached the same action plan pretty much. And a lot of people didn't do it. They did not pull the trigger 10 years ago. Then
Oh, wow.
we fast forward from 2014 to 2024 today. When I talk to some of those people that I go back to them, I ask them, how come you didn't do it? Oh, because oh, it's not ready. I'm waiting for the best time. I'm waiting for a housing crash 10 years ago, or the prices were overvalued, or the housing market is overheated. The same old lame excuse. Now 10 years later, they come back. I review their situation. Some of them, people that are willing to talk to me because they keep saying they have a lot of regret.
Yeah, I bet.
They say, I should have, could have, would have, whatever. Same thing. 10 years from now, 2034, if you do not buy any properties, if you wait to buy, when you wait to
Right.
buy, you're going to wait for a long time. You're going to wait forever instead of buy real estate and wait. So 10 years from now, 2034, I'm going to talk to people listening to this podcast. I'm going to ask them 10 years ago, how come you did not pull the trigger? Oh, the market's overheated. I'm waiting for the best deal out there. They're going to say, oh, I should have done it. You wasted 10 freaking precious years you cannot take back.
That's right.
Investing, Julie, is about time. You
Absolutely.
need to allow time to work for you. You're not going to make any money on real estate you do not own.
Good point. Very good point.